Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Frozen Depths, back with another Kamihime project video. Now, this is going to be aimed mostly towards newer players, because I've been getting asked a lot of questions about certain things, and this should cover quite a bit of it. It also covers some of the old guides that I've done before, because I'm going to cover quite a bit in this video, so I don't know how long this is going to take, but it's going to take a minute. First and foremost, newer players, if you are just starting this game or you haven't gotten too far into it, make sure you have, and I'm suggesting this, at least one of the 100% Eidolons and some SSR Kamihime. Hopefully to match the element of that 100% Eidolon. If you don't, keep re-rolling the game until you do. You have to find out how to re-roll, because with how Nutaku does things, you can only make a certain amount of accounts on an IP address before they say, okay, we're not letting you make anymore. And they actually ban the IP address. So I forgot exactly how to do it. There should be something on re-rolling somewhere out there. Honestly, I think it's on that forum that I don't really want to go back to, but that's another story. But yes, re-rolling definitely is one of the best things you can do right now if you aren't too far into the game, because it starts you off with a very, very good start. And you have a little bit of control over it, because it's only limited by your own patience. If you really want, you can keep re-rolling until you have nothing but SSR in a pool. It is possible, but highly unfeasible. Because, again, it's all based on your patience, and something like that is a very, very slim chance. It's just 3% chance just to see an SSR appear already, but to get 10 of them, yeah. I've seen people get 4 in one pool, so that's still doable too. But definitely try to get any of the Eidolons that have 100% in their description. Which also goes into the next thing. If you find anyone on a friends list that has any of these Eidolons that say 100% or more, and it's somewhere in the description, friend them. Or at least see if you can friend them. Because these are hands down the most powerful Eidolons in the game. And you should be setting them as your lead Eidolons for whatever element you get them in. If you can break limit them, go for it. They are the most powerful. Because no matter how strong you are, it is a massive boost to your output. Period. The only case where it's not a full 100% you won't get at the start is the light Eidolon. Will eventually get a dark one to match it, but it's still 80%. And you can get the other 100% as you play along through the game. Which now leads to the second thing. Now, depending on when you started, you might be able to get some of this stuff without even, you might be able to get some of this stuff without going through this, but Eidolon Orb Shop. There's definitely some very good stuff here. Personally, I wouldn't really get the Dragonic Eye Shards unless you have nothing else to spend it on. You need to save your orbs as much as possible for what I'm about to show you. You don't need any of this stuff. The Dragonic Eye Shards maybe, but that's if you have nothing else. You don't need any of this stuff. Don't even think about it. You don't need any of these right here, because you can get these books easily through events. And that's some little break limit thing for SR stuff. Don't worry about it. What you might start needing is where you start seeing these Eidolons. These are previous SSR Eidolons from previous raid events. Some of them are pretty good. Like, I know, Jorgumonger is one that they tend to go after a lot because she comes with an attack down ability. You only get that through other, I think there's like some SR Eidolons that can do it, but you're not really wanting to keep them. And some have some special effects too that really help out. Like, I know Yggdrasil has a regen if you summon her. Jack-o'-lantern, she deals a very slight amount of damage to you, but if you get stronger, it's not too much of a problem. But it also increases your burst gauge going up. There's Eidolons like this one where they give you a massive amount of elemental attack, which can help you for other stuff. They're Eidolons to keep in mind. Don't go after them just yet, but they're Eidolons to keep in mind. The ones you want to go after are after all this stuff. But there are some very powerful ones. Like, I'm not surprised if people go back and get more Tiamat, because she's a very strong one for water teams, and then on top of that, very good summon effect, very good stats. Tiamat is definitely one of the ones to go back for. But not until you've covered the other stuff I'm going to show you. Don't even worry about these accessories. You'll be able to grind them eventually. And they're not really worth it anyway, because they only come with 2 ability slots. This is where you start needing to say your orbs. Any of these add-ons that say Dragoons, if you re-roll nicely, you could probably get a Dragoon in 100% add-on as well. And I mean an SSR Dragoon, not the other ones that come in SR form, but they're still decent until you get more stuff. But the SSR Dragoons, they are pretty much the second best in the entire game. The catch is, don't set them as a main add-on. Just put them anywhere in your sub slots. But what these do, and I've already got this one, because these don't restock. I haven't ever heard them restocking. But what they do is give you a huge boost towards the element that they match, but also a huge defense against the element they're strong against. So in this case, God Kaiser is a light one, massively spikes your light damage for a few turns, massively spikes your dark defenses for a few turns. Depending on what you're fighting, you might even want to put them in other teams as well. And their stats are insanely high. Like, out of all the add-ons in the game, I do believe they get the highest ones. At least in attack stat. You shouldn't have to worry about HP because it will come naturally. But yeah, for instance, like, Gale Kaiser Dragoon, if you're fighting a very hard Thunder boss, she can actually help save you a little bit. Same case with Nova Kaiser, where it's like, okay, you're fighting a strong wind boss, she'll help you out with that, especially if you're using a fire team against said wind boss. But these cost a lot of Eidolon orbs. Save those up when you get them. And don't spend them for anything else but these. They're very hard to rack up. If you're going to grind all the events you can for these, and you don't manage to pull any other Eidolons you want to sell off or whatnot, then you're going to end up going through at least a good 40-something events before you're even able to get one of them. So, cannot stress this enough. Save your orbs. Get the Dragoons before anything else. Anything else. Even if you somehow have to set them as a main for the time being. Because it'll at least increase your healing power if you have healers. It'll help you stay alive a little bit more. You can still do events in order to get the other add-on slots filled anyways. Which now leads to the next thing. Now, when it comes to events, you want to grind them as much as possible no matter how far you've gotten into the game. Currently we have 2. One's a raid event, one's an advent event. Advent ones, you're on your own. So it's mainly based on how strong you can get. This one's weaker though because it's a crossover event. But what happens is you grind a ton of items. Go do stages. The higher the difficulty, the more stuff you can get. It's recommended to at least be able to clear Ultimate, but if you're a newer player, you're probably far from that. But this one's easier than the normal Advent events, so if you're able to clear, I'd say, like, expert raids, you might be able to handle this. And I'll get to the raids in a second, but this is something you definitely want to be able to do at some point, so try to get as strong as you can early game. Easiest way to get strong as you can early game is to get the stuff with the highest rarity and the highest stats and just level them up. You don't even need to worry about any of the extra sad stuff. If you have 100% Eidolon, then set that as your main, focus on that element, and you'll do just fine. Even if you don't have one, just build up your stats enough. Now, this one right here in the middle, she's a raid event, which means you can get extra help going up against these fights. This is where it's very, very friendly to new players, and they should have no problem no matter how strong they are, because all you have to do is either jump into somebody else's raid and do as much as you can there, or have somebody come and help out in your raid. And you can send these requests to anyone. You don't pick them specifically. It's like randomly sent out to like a certain amount of active players on there. If you have friends, it's sent out to them. If you have union members, it's sent out to them. And I'll get to the union thing in a second as well. But this event, definitely easy to rack up some good stuff for newer players, especially since it'll get you a lot of magic gems and it'll get you a lot of summon tickets. which we'll call gacha tickets. The thing about those is the fact that those are still free summons, basically. It doesn't matter whether you're a paying or a free player. You're going to want those because it's still extra chances to get more stuff. And it also feeds you a lot of gems. Like, I have about almost 400,000 gems right here. Believe it or not, this is a small amount. I've just been feeding them to the gem gacha. So that's how that is. But you also need gems to do a lot of upgrading and stuff too for some of the higher tier stuff, like break limiting items or enhancing accessories, or even the biggest thing is awakening Kamihime. But that's the whole thing with that. You can get tons of good stuff from raid events. You can get tons of good stuff from advent events as well. You just have to grind. This game is very, very grind heavy. If you do not like that, you're going to want to turn around. But that's the whole thing with that. Now, I mentioned unions real quick. I have a union. More so, I'm running this union because I joined it a long time ago, and then eventually the guy in charge put me in charge at some point, and then I've just been in charge since then. But you can create a union, you can join one. What the biggest thing about the union is the fact that you got other people to help you out, especially when it comes to the third type of event, which is union raids, where it's the same concept, only when it comes to demon fights, you can only have union members help you out. Friends can't help you out, and neither can random people, but you can fight the Loams with them. But the biggest thing about the unions is the fact that you can have other people help you out. The second biggest thing is the fact that there's these guardians. As you increase their power, they give you bonus attack stats and whatnot towards certain elements. We've almost completely maxed them all out. At least in mines. And there's only 4 elements right here: water, fire, wind, and thunder. As far as I know, they don't have any more. I don't think they'll ever add any more. Those can also help you out in some events. I try to set it so it helps out with the current events right now. Like, we have a light event and a darkness event. There's no guardians for them. But we have something called Guild Order, which is water-based. That's where this thunder one comes in. And I'll talk about Guild Order way later down the line. That's for people that's gotten very, very strong, like where I'm at. Like, this is a very high amount of attack power, but there's players that have even higher. This is a high rank. There's players that have even higher. If you want to say anything about where I stand at, it would be, it's like a high tier, but not like ultimate tier players. If I was to say anything about where I stand on this, I would probably be within the top 20% of players. And I feel like I'm kind of lowballing myself there, at least when it comes to my light team anyway. But other elemental teams, I might drop a little bit lower. So that's the whole thing. Like, for instance, my water team is weaker, which goes to the next thing, in fact, the gacha. You're going to want to build up your teams. This can help get you some extra stuff. Now, don't worry too much about the upper stuff, because that's if you're a paying player. But these really do help when you're starting out. Like, it's guaranteed SSR. Get these if you can. Because SSR is somewhat difficult to come by, especially if you're a free player. This forces one to pop out. In this case, a Kamihime, it's just random. They have one for Idolans as well, and sometimes they just have them for just there for anything. And there's a rare occasions where they have one that'll give you a weapon ticket for an SSR weapon. Those are specific weapons that were removed from the gacha, but they're very, very powerful, so you might actually want to consider getting one of those. Might. But there's some stuff that can also give you like good rates towards some stuff. Like, this is the one I would probably go for if I was trying to get the 100% Idolan, because I'm not going to re-roll for her at this point. I'm too far in. Or if I want some of the more powerful newer characters, because I know there's a few white ones that are very powerful, and I got a good chance of that one right there. There's some that give you some break limit materials and whatnot too. That's all extra stuff. Here's the ones you need to be focusing on, not the premium. Magic Jewel, where you can get anything in the game as long as it is not removed from the gacha. What I mean by that is that there has been some Kamihime that's been temporary. Now, As long as they're there, they'll be in this Magic Jewel Gacha. But when they're removed, you can't get them period point blank. But this is pretty much your free version of premium draws. This is where you want to try and save up your Magic Jewels. How you spend them is on you, but your best odds is to save up 3,000 and pull them that way because you get 10 pulls, which honestly adds up to the same amount as if you did it one by one. But the difference is that one of those pulls is forced to be SR. And if I'm correct, that also increases the chance of SSR to 5%, but I'm not sure. Like, don't take that word for word, but I think it does increase the chances of SSR somehow. All I know is this. It will remove all the R pools from that one pool. So you'll see at least a gold door. When you do gachas, there's 3 different doors that will appear. You will see a gold door if there's an SR. You will see a rainbow door if there's an SSR. And you won't see any special doors. It'll just be some light colored one just for normal pools. I can even show you if I really go into the gem gacha, but I'm not really doing that right now. But the gem gacha is the other one you really need to worry about because this is going to be your main methods for skill leveling. And even then, if you're a newer player, you can get a lot of R Kamihime from here. And some of them are actually very good. Like Konohano Sakuya is pretty good. Caspiel's pretty good. If you have both Kushinada and a Tohime, they can be pretty good when you use them in combination. It depends. But there's some good R level Kamihime. So if you don't have SR or SSR ones, don't worry. Especially considering the fact that the raid events and the crossover events will give you SR Kamihime. If it's a union raid, it won't. But every single event will give you SSR weapons and SSR Eidolons if you grind enough for them or even get lucky in some cases because one's got a gacha. But that's the whole thing with that. You have to grind, it will get you stronger. It really helps out. Now, you definitely want to spam this gem gacha as much as you possibly can, but still try to save enough gems in order to build up your characters. That's where you have to have a little bit of balance. Events can do that for you. Here's where you get some help for that. You might need to level up a little bit in order to actually do these, but you don't have to do it too far. I'd say if you're able to clear standard, this shouldn't be too much of a problem. Like, see, here's where you find your event tab if you happen to have a advent event that's not a crossover. And this is perfect timing for this too. Here's where you can do all sorts of quests to get some stuff, like get some break limit materials from this. It changes by element each day, and then Sundays it's just strictly it says Cave of Gold Ore, but it really just gives you a lot of EXP. And then there's also the gem quest right here, where it gives you a lot of gems, obviously. Like, these are very good, and you can do them once a day. So that really helps. Well, you can do them both twice a day, actually. Now, at certain times of day, this is where this type of stuff opens up, where you can get stuff for weapon enhancement materials or Eidolon enhancement materials. Say you've done all your gacha pulls, but you still need more of these, then this is where you can get more of them. There's also another one where it gives you a lot of gems, and that one's open for 30 minutes. These types are open for an hour. Try to keep your eye on these things and try to figure out when they come on, because I honestly forgot what times of day they come up, and then it's dependent on your time zone too, so it might differ a little bit. But they do give you a lot of good stuff if you grind it out, especially the gem one. And you can do it in an unlimited number of times as long as it's still running. The only exceptions to the rule is these two, because these two are twice a day. If it does not say twice daily, there's no limit. It just has a timer for how long it's going to be open. So say you can clear the quest in 1 minute, you can keep doing it every so minutes and get 60 plus runs as long as you have the AP. And that's the other reason why you want to do this gacha too, the gem gacha. Because the gem gacha can give you the AP potions that you see, which are the half elixirs. Also can give you the energy seeds, which fills up BP, which you use to jump into other people's raids. Simple as that. Now, I won't go into this one just yet. I want to show you something else that really helps out. Now, honestly, when you're not doing events, your first and foremost objective should be to just do as much as this as possible. because you get a ton of magic jewels from clearing quests and whatnot. I'm as far as I can go in the storyline. Even the sub-quests are done, which is even more of those. And then on top of that, they'll give you 3 additional Kamihime for free that are SR level. Cybele, which is a very good wind one. Amon is the first one you get. She's a decent fire one. And then Bao, who's so-so, if you really want to be honest. This should give you at least one of 4 elements. You get Nikki at the start, who's a very good water healer for the time being. You get Amon, who's fire. You get Cybele, who's wind. And you get Bao, who's thunder. It's going to mix up your team elements a little bit, but you'll have 4 SR, at least, until you start getting more and more Kamihime, like pulling them from the Gem Gacha. Which you'll eventually get. You'll get all of them from the Gem Gacha. Trust me, you'll have to spam the crap out of that. But that's the whole thing with this. You have to try and do as much of the storyline as you can. It'll get you some stuff. It'll also let you trade for some items too, which I'm about to show you, which is back in the shop. The shop's where you're going to go to trade for a lot of stuff too. The material exchange is one of them. Especially when you start doing some of the harder level content, because that's what I'm doing. Because the storyline also drops materials where you can get some stuff like this. Like, no, not materials, items. Where you can probably get some stuff like this. You'll get these random weird things and you can start trading them for different stuff. You can get enhancement materials if you want. I wouldn't worry about it. You can get more elixirs if you want. You can get more energy seeds if you want. You can get SR Adolans and whatnot. This is one of the ones that aim for, but she's very, very far into the storyline, where she comes in and gives you a summon effect where she reduces enemies' defense, because it helps you with debuffing. Stronger players won't have to worry about that. You can get some decent SR weapons. I say decent, but there's a better place to grind for them, really. But I don't want to say light attack instead of light character attack, or dark attack instead of dark character attack. If it has character in the description, then it's in most cases weaker. I say most because there's a few exceptions to that. Like for instance, if you're just starting out, take any Adon you can get, but try to aim for the best ones. Now, when you start doing the daily quests and whatnot, the ones that will help you get the break limit materials, you can start trading for this type of stuff all down here in the back of the list. It will get you some better upgrade materials and stuff too, but you have to trade a nice little handful of things. It can help if you got that one last little finish and you just missed it or something. Doing the gacha can get you a lot of the lower ones, which is why I have like 200 or so of these. So that's one thing to know about. Doing the gacha also gets you a nice little handful of these little things. Both of them. Because I do believe they both drop there as well. If not, I know the weaker one definitely does. Don't worry about these for the time being. Doing the gacha can get you these little raid items here and these little raid items here. And where you get those from, along with the stuff in order to get these. But this is higher level content. But where you get these type of things, and where you also get a lot of SR weapons to help you out with getting stronger, is here in this little raid quest section. It's the same concept as the raid events. You can get other people to help you out, but the thing is, you can only start 3 raids a day of each type. So that's the biggest thing. But you can jump into anybody else's an infinite number of times as long as you have the BP for it. So, again, this is very grindy. But, and you also get magic jewels too for starting them the first time and actually clearing it. Now, when you're just starting out, you're probably going to be doing your standard ones. You might even be able to do expert with some help. But you're going to eventually get powerful enough to just spam the crap out of expert. That's where you can start grinding for weapons, like SR weapons. And if you check the details, they'll say assault. Those are the ones that try and keep and try and break limit. And try and get as many of them as possible to fill the holes in your grid. Because you're trying to get matching elements as much as possible. That should help you get a lot of power very early. And we'll get to how you strengthen them later on. But this is definitely the places where you get them. You can even get them from these raids right here. But these are insanely difficult. You're nowhere near trying to get these until you're a lot stronger. because that's where you gotta abuse mechanics. I've been doing this one like crazy to try and get some very powerful stuff. But remember these Ragnarok ones, because you will get some very, very, very powerful weapons that only go to your main character for that group, which is called a soul. You'll get very powerful weapons for them during those Ragnarok fights. And currently we get half off the cost too, so that really helps. It also includes BP. So say it took 4 BP, and now it takes 2. But speaking of souls, you've noticed the soul point thing before. You'll notice them when you level up and your other stuff. That's how you unlock these different souls. Some can only be unlocked by holy soul points, so you got to do union raids for them. But when it comes to the ones that you can get normally, you just go to change soul. You just level up the pre-required ones. You're going to need to level them all up, really, if you want to be honest. Excuse me, I've been talking for a while. But go here, pick your soul, spend the soul points in order to learn them or unlock them. Level them up, rinse and repeat for the higher tiers. Eventually you'll get them all, like I have. But the biggest reason why you want to try and level them all up as well is because some stuff carries over from one soul to another. You see these bonuses down here where it says master bonuses. That's stuff I gotten from other souls, including her. So, any of them I sip and use will always have these 7 effects. Excuse me. So that said, you will always have these 7 effects. Period. Level bonus. As you level them up and get stronger, these get higher. These are specific to that character only. Only. Excuse me, my throat's kind of dry. But that said, you're going to get a huge boost from these as well, combined with these. And as you get more ranks, their base HP increases as well. I don't think it goes to the other characters like the Kamihime. But you also start learning these abilities too. And when it's all said and done, they will all have 3 abilities that they'll get. The 4th one is something extra you can toss on with ability settings. If it says extra ability, which is the extra ones they learn at level 5 and level 15 or so, then you'll be able to set them here and use them. This one called Sniper Shot came from someone else. That's a good example of it. And I won't need Sniper Shot once I get her weapon a little bit more powerful. But that's the thing. You can start getting a lot of good stuff from this just by leveling up your souls. That's why you try to get as many as possible. Because you can mix and match a lot of combinations and whatnot for abilities, and they can really help in a lot of cases. There's some that will basically help you period point blank. Like Sniper Shot's a very good one to go after, but unfortunately, you have to go after a legendary soul called Artanian. And she only uses guns. Which is the other reason why you need to worry about the weapon types, because they only like to use certain types of weapons. Unfortunately. But when you start getting stronger and be able to get their specific ones from the Ragnarok fights, you'll automatically meet these requirements anyways. They just take a long time to get because they're so incredibly powerful. Because they come with some very nice effects and much larger stat boosts than their original counterparts. But next thing to really go after is going back to what I mentioned. Say you're able to do the standard raids and the expert raids, you're able to clear expert and ultimate level content. Heck, you might even be able to get strong enough to clear Ragnarok content when it comes to advent events. Because some advent events have a fight called Ragnarok. The raid events also have that too, but you can get help with those. But say you're able to clear all that, no biggie. Now's the time to start grinding for these. Because these will start giving you some stuff that will really boost up your Kamihime. These, like this rank 1, are based on expert difficulty in advent events. So they're around that level of power. You'll get strong enough to do those anyway. But you'll only get like N or R materials more or less. So they're not really too worth it. It's this rank 2 when you can start getting some decent stuff. Because you'll get some SR ones. I've heard you can get SSR from it, but it's extremely rare if that's the case. But then there's rank 3, where you definitely can get any of the accessories that match the element, but rank 4 is even further. Here's the deal with this. I said this was expert difficulty, right? Ultimate, Ragnarok, and even harder than Ragnarok. I don't even know what the label of that is. Those Ragnarok raids that you see in the raid quest menu, those are also harder than Ragnarok fights, which means they would be higher than rank 3 on this in difficulty. That's where you get some very strong content where you need to be extremely strong. It's more than just having raw stats at that point. You need to really have teams composition the best way you can get them, honestly, because this game throws you any random Kamihime they want at you. Sometimes none at all. But at the same time, you also need to have your weapons powered up, which is where you get to this little part right here. And I'm going to show you how to level up a lot of this stuff. Not literally show you in the video, but I'm going to let you know. Because literally show you is in other videos that I've done. You might have to look through that. Now, here's Kamihime. They even tell you how many you own. I own a lot because I've been playing this game for a long time. I've honestly thrown more money than I'd rather say at this game, but even then, as a free player, I still would have had a nice handful. So, because a few of these SSR I've actually pulled by sheer luck for free. So there you go. And I know this is one of them in that case. Where is she at? This one. She was pure luck. So, because I pulled her weapon like 4 or 5 times. But that's the whole thing. You start racking up a lot of Kamihime. You're going to want to start powering them up. You can enhance them through this. I'd rather not, because it takes weapon materials to do that. And they're best saved for your weapons, of course. If you're going to do anything with them, it's going to be break limit, or in some cases, awakening. Break limit's going to add more stars, increasing their max level, allowing them to hit higher points of power. Awakening lets them hit a second tier of power. That's why you see some of these stars looking differently. These are Kamihime that were able to go beyond their limits, where it will set their level back to 1, but they retain all their previous abilities, and those just get even stronger as they level up again. More so, you might get some bonus effects when they start using their attacks, and even more so, they get higher stats when you get them right back up to level 80. Because these Awakening only works with SSR Kamihime, and they can go up to level 80. So, for instance, when she got her Awakening and I got her leveled up enough, her burst stopped doing just straight damage and also added a buff to the entire team, where she increases her resistance against darkness attacks. So that's something nice. And say you don't have SSR, that's fine. There's some players that never really got an SSR. There's SR characters as well. You get 4 of them in the game for free. One of them as you start it. You can still break them at them, but you won't be able to awaken them. And some of them actually have some pretty decent abilities. That's why I'm using this one right here. This one also has some very good abilities, but you're probably going to get them from the gacha. Simple as that. And those only go up to level 70. You need books in order to get those to their highest points. So you want that 4th star for the SSR or the SR characters, you're going to need books. Silver books for the SR, and you need gold books for the SSR, but if they can awaken, you'll need both. Now, here's where we start getting into these ones. There's R characters. I haven't even put any stars on her yet. But some of these R characters are pretty good. Like this one definitely. This one definitely is. She's even pretty good if you happen to pull her, but she's not in the gem gacha, unfortunately. Her other version is, that's Caspiel, but it'd be a wind version of her, not the light one. She's also pretty good if you happen to get her. She's somewhat decent. She depends, honestly. She really depends. She's another really good one combined with another one you've seen already. There's some very good R ones in here, but you have to pull them. And some of them are in the gem gacha. The ones that aren't, you're going to find in the Magic Jewel gacha or the premium ones. They only go up to level 50 when you get them to 3-star. That's the highest they can get. But they still have some good stuff. The other reason why you want to start getting stars for all these characters and start break limiting them is because, first off, 1 star and they level up enough, they'll get their missing ability. Because you'll notice that the R1 start with 1 ability, the others start with 2. 1 star them and level them up enough, they'll get that other ability that they show in the results screen, and you'll be able to use it. Now, in the case of the R characters, they don't have a second scene. Because you get these from scenes, and if you're playing the 18 plus version, you'll literally see a scene. The other ones probably just give a quick little overview and just move on. But in the case of, say, like SR characters or SSR characters, you get them to 3 stars. Like these ones, you get them to 3 stars and level them up enough. They'll get a second scene where they'll give you magic jewels. But wait, there's still more. They're not the only ones that can give you magic jewels. SSR Kamihime, SSR Adolans, SR Kamihime, and these 2 specific SR Adolans. You level them up enough, they will give you magic jewels for scenes. Keep that in mind. Aside from these enhancement materials right here, everybody on this screen will give you magic jewels. This is a very specific special one that came from certain little real life events. I doubt you'll get her, but who knows? They gave away 3 copies of her, so I just kept her. But all these Adolans right here, and I used to have a much larger list, but I sold a lot of them in order to get the Adolan orbs. But all these ones right here, they all gave me magic jewels for a scene. And then as you start them up, you can get them to higher levels. Level 100 is the max for SSR. 85 is the max for these ones, but you're not going to use them. You're not. Maybe this one at the start, but that's it. And even if you lock her or unlock her, you can't get rid of this one. You will always have this one. But these other ones also have some pretty good stuff. Some I got from the gacha, like I pulled her 6 times and I pulled her 6 times. But there's ones like her, and her from events. This one I got from the Adolan Orb shop, and I managed to break limit her with a special item. One of the gachas gave me that. But that's the whole thing with these ones. Level them up enough, you'll get more magic jewels. And even still, you want to level them up if you're using them, just to try to get them to level 100 and get their stats higher. Because they'll give you these tend to give you the bulk of your HP, even if you go for one that has a low amount of it. Because weapons won't come nowhere near close nor in form of HP, which is another thing. Weapons got 2 things you got to worry about when it comes to the basic stuff anyways. You got to break limit them in order to get their stars up. But you also have to enhance them and get them at higher levels. Level 125 is the highest they normally get. Normally, which is 3 stars. We just recently got something in the game where, hey, guess what? This one's got 4 stars. Where does that 4-star come from? Some even harder content. The hardest in the game. When you're finally able to do that, you can get items called our child come where you get that 4th and final break limit. That increases the max level from 125 to 150. And it also does some other stuff which I'll go over in a second. But the basics of leveling up your weapons, you got to break limit them and get them higher. How do you break limit all this stuff? Kamihime, you have to get certain items and stuff in order to do that. Those little daily quests that I showed you, that's how you get the elemental materials for them. You can also get some from the gem gacha. The gem gacha can really just cover all your enhancement needs for anyone that's R rarity. SR or higher, you're probably going to have to do a little bit of grinding for. But in the case of weapons and Adolans, it's a different story. To break limit in Adolan, you need the same copy of that Adolan. Meaning I had to get this one 5 times, I had to get this one 5 times, I had to get this one 5 times, so on and so forth. The only exception to that rule is if you get an item to break limit them, but don't go out of your way to get that. You don't really need to. Unless you're like paying for a gacha and they get handed as a bonus, okay, fine. But you have to get multiple copies of them in order to get them a higher level. The ones from the gacha are definitely the more powerful ones. But don't worry if you don't get them. The event ones can hold their own too. That's why I'm holding a lot of these event ones. There's like 6 of them that's event ones. Right here, you're looking at 7 of them, actually, that came from events. And the other thing is, too, just like the Adolans and weapons have the same function, only up to their 3rd star. Their 4th star, they're going to need specific materials, which includes that our child come from the hardest continent in the game, which is called Guild Order. That's the other event you've seen. Guild Order rotates, it gets hard, it gets pretty hard very quickly. Just go as far as you can in it when you actually are confident you can do anything in there, and try to get some more child come if you can. But I would not recommend it until you're able to hold your own in the Ragnarok raid fights that you find in the quest menu, not the event menu. So keep that in mind. And then you're noticing this, there's a lot of them have a plus value. Sometimes when you do a gacha, or even from the event gacha for raids, you'll see weapons or Eidolons that have a +1. They increase your stats too if you use them as an enhancement material. Hold on to those and try to feed them to your stuff that you plan on keeping. The pluses are all over the board in my weapons, but honestly, I didn't really care too much until I started focusing on one elemental team. Then I started like, okay, +15, +14, +26. You get the idea. Eidolons. You seen I had a few that go to +99. Like, these are the ones that have very high stats. I try to plus them a lot. Same case with her. Same case with this one, but I'm still working on that. And I was working on a few others too, and I just flat out stopped. But each plus value gives 1 extra HP and 3 extra attack to the stat. So in her case, she's got her normal stats at level 55, plus 12 more HP, plus 36 more attack. It racks up. So try to put all your pluses on these things. You can do it for Kamihime if you get a weapon, but I'd rather not, because it only goes to that one Kamihime, as opposed to, okay, I have this Eidolon on all my teams, that +99 benefits all my characters. See where I'm getting at with that? Now, accessories is a whole nother ball game. You do not need to break limit these, ever. But getting them is a whole nother journey. When you finally do, you have to feed other accessories into the one you want to keep in order to raise its stats. And these all have these different types of symbols. They're all different effects. Like this one's attack up, and this one increases the drop rate of items. This one's got 2 boosts to defense, meaning I'll take less damage with whoever got that equipped. This one's got an ability damage increase with 2 reductions in mode gauge. When you play the game long enough, you'll know what mode gauge is. And it's a useless ability, really. This one isn't too great, to be quite honest. I just kept it because it's like SSR and has high stats. But this one increases burst power and all that. You'll eventually learn about all this stuff as you start getting more accessories. The thing with these is the fact that they take gems to upgrade, unlike everything else. As in, like, when you're enhancing them, it's not free, like trying to toss weapons into Kamihime or weapons into other weapons or Eidolons into other Eidolons. These, if you're tossing one accessory into another, it's going to cost you gems. And if they're SR or higher, it costs you gems to even remove them from Kamihime. So make sure your decisions are pretty much final. Otherwise, you're going to have to overlap the previous accessory, and it's not going to take gems, but you'll lose the accessory forever. So you have to play it very carefully. Best way to really go about this is to enhance accessories in the other ones, and then take that bulk of them and do it like that. Like, say, I wanted to level this one up specifically, and I wanted to throw away all the other SSR. I would enhance all these a little bit the first time, and then I would take all those combined and enhance it into that, just to save gems. That's my way of doing it. I don't know if there's a better one. But as you do more fights and whatnot, you'll get more of these. If they are R level, you will have an ability with it, unless it's a ring. These rings, they're weird. They just say, forget all the normal rules, you just get one effect. And that's only if it's SR. If it's R, you won't get any. So take the normal effect count and subtract 1 from that. But if you got anything from the Eidolon Orb Shop, it's going to come with 2 abilities regardless. So don't even worry about it. That's where I got this from, honestly. And I shouldn't have bought it, but I was curious. But that's the whole thing with that. Now, going back to the weapons, there's one more thing you really have to pay attention to, and that's where this comes in. Now, when you go enhancing these and whatnot, you'll notice something called a skill level. And this is a good example of it because it's not maxed out. But you'll notice something called a skill level right here. And sometimes they come with multiple abilities. Those are the ones you kind of want to aim for, depending on what they get. Anything with Assault is a very good one to go after. Sometimes you might need Defender because you do need HP. Regardless of what anybody says, you need HP or you can't survive some stuff. There's fights where I'm getting one-shotted, even though I have like 13,000 HP in some characters, because I'm taking like 15,000 damage. Because I didn't have the HP for it, I couldn't survive it. So, yeah. There's definitely a lot of fights where you'll get nuked pretty hard and you'll take like 7,000, 8,000 or something. You need HP to survive. At least have one defender in there if it's just a single effect. But in the cases of weapons like this, and this is an event weapon you can get right now for a while, actually. But these effects are very, very good. Assault Defender is one of the best combinations in the game for that. And then on top of that, too, you can also take it a step further where there's other ones that you might find where it's like Assault and Rush. Rush increasing the double attack rate. You never know. It's up to you if you want to go after that type of stuff. But if it has Assault, it's pretty much guaranteed it's a good weapon. Same case goes with the ones that say Pride, but you only usually get the Pride ones from Union events. There's like maybe one or two Kamihime weapons that would give you Pride. But they're all very good effects because they give bonus stuff on top of what you got. So like I have 30,000 attack for one thing. Well, this is going to increase it even further. It is 0.5% times the skill level. So that's 8% right there. And because it has a plus, it has an extra bonus. So I get really 11% more attack power from this weapon alone. You see where I'm getting at. In the case of HP, it gives me 8% more HP. Now, if I go back to my party and actually show off all that stuff combined for my light team gives me 108 more attack power, meaning it more than doubles it, but also gives them about 60% more HP. That adds up. You need to level these up, and how do you do that? Well, if the weapon is R or higher, and it's not an enhancement material, it's got a chance to increase the skill level, and when you combine a whole bunch of them, you can get it pushed up to 100%. There's a completely different video I've done on there where it's talking about strengthening teams. That tells you a better method of how to do it. I won't go over full details in this because this video is long enough as is. But needless to say, you will spam the crap out of this gym gacha to get R weapons, and that's one of the main reasons why you will never ever get tired of this gacha, because you will need those R weapons to build these up, and that will get you some very high stuff. And what makes it even further is the fact that in the case of weapons that can get a 4th star, when you do eventually get said 4th star, the skill level cap increases from level 20 being the max to level 30, letting them go even further. And they also get changes to these that make them better. They might get another effect added, they might get effects increased. That's why you try to get these weapons as strong as possible. These are the majority of your power. If I were to say anything about how important things would be, your weapons is the most important. Next in line would be your Adolins and Kamihime. Then next in line would be the accessories. Weapons are definitely the most important, especially since they give you the bulk of your attack power, which is pretty much your damage. You can get HP for some of them, but you're better off getting that from Adolins and these effects. And even then, these probably still give you more HP increase than the effects would from the Adolins. It's just the fact that the Adolins give you base stats. So yeah, that's the main thing with all that. Now, say you've upgraded all this stuff and whatnot, or you just don't want to focus on it for the time being, that's fine and good. How about your teams? Well, this is where this comes into play. Because this can make or break you too. This is my strongest team right here. I have her as a soul, which is the lead part, mainly because she has a very special weapon I'll show in the next part. Then I have all these Kamihime with their different effects and whatnot. I would prioritize having these two things hands down in every single team. Kamihime that can lower stats of enemies, attack or defense. And you'll eventually learn that they go into different frames and all that too, which stack on top of each other instead of just overwriting effects. And then you also get a healer. In this case, because she has sniper shot, that is B frame attack and defense down for 20% each. So that, for instance, that's 20% attack drop. This one also lowers attack power by I think another 10%, and this one lowers it by 15. So that said, that's like 45% attack power drop. It might be 50%, I don't know. I don't remember full stats, but this one's B frame, this one's A frame, and this one's C frame attack down. So that all stacks. This one's defense, and this one's defense, but they're two different types. This is elemental light defense. So she'll reduce the light resistance of enemies. She'll just flat out reduce defense by A frame. She reduces defense by B frame. That all stacks together too. So elemental also combines with that too, so it makes it a little bit easier. That allows me to nearly cut the damage I take in half, while also doing nearly double damage. Now you see why that adds up. She's also a healer. One of the best in the game. More so if you can awaken her. So that's the big thing about that. And then you can also set your sub slots too. If you're not too confident you'll clear the content, you'll try to get some that'll match. This is pretty much my grinding team for the raids that'll get her to her best weapon. This one can take a hit. Used properly, she's a very good defense Kamihime. You just need a little bit of luck hoping she gets hit with something very strong. Because remember that attack I mentioned where I take like 15,000 damage? With one of her abilities, she just doesn't take any damage for that one hit. She can redirect attacks to herself and increase her own defenses. These two can both self-heal. You get the idea. Sometimes they have some better stuff. But if you're not using these sub slots for Kamihime you'll expect to go into the fight, put Kamihime you're leveling up in these slots. It will help you with the leveling process. Now when it gets to weapons, this is the weapon I was talking about, where it has a very strong effect, and then on top of that, it also is unique to that soul, period, point blank. I've already gotten to the skill level 20. But you can change which weapons you have based on the ones they can use. She can only use axes and bows, that's why they're the only ones popping up right here. And that will also change the element of your soul, so pay attention to that. Like I can put this on here, she'll still be light. But if I put that on there, she'll turn to water. So you have to be careful of that. And souls can only use two types of weapons, except for the gunners. They only use guns, period, point blank. But when you're going to this grid right here, and all this stuff combines the base stats, that's why you see the overall numbers right there. For instance, I have this weapon right here. This is a Brad weapon, by the way. Now, all of a sudden, I can put any single weapon I want here. There's two things you really have to pay attention to when you try to get these things in here. What skills they have, and what element they are. How high level you got them doesn't really matter until later content, basically. So try to keep the elements matching, but also pay attention to abilities, because Pride also works for like Assault. It's just a smaller version of Assault, but it's also giving you more attack power as your HP drops. So in longer fights, that actually helps a lot. But for instance, I'm going to select this one. This one gives Assault and Defender. But say I wanted to go Water one. This one just gives straight Defender. That's why it doesn't say Equip, because I don't need it. This one, however, is straight Assault. It needs to be put in that grid. So when I go to my water grid, I can toss that in there, because Assault's definitely one of the top ones to have. If you have a grid just full of Assault and nothing more, it might be able to handle for a while, but you're going to eventually need Defender, so you should have maybe one, unless they have two effects like this weapon right here, the sword weapon. But more or less, try to match out the elements and whatnot, it'll be good to go. You don't have to pay attention as much on this one, but you do have to at some point. the main Adon is the biggest part where you have to pay attention. I'm using a light team, so doesn't matter what the summon effect is, the summon attack, the Adon effect is the main thing I want to pay attention to when I put it in the main slot. She gets light elemental attack at 40%, and increases my resistance against dark enemies. I think that's like 10% if you want to be honest. So, this is pretty much a 40% elemental light damage increase. I say pretty much because the exact numbers is totally different based on what you have. And then I take 10% less damage from dark enemies. She's on my light team for that reason. There's others that can probably do better, but I don't really have them. I used to have them, but they weren't nowhere near as strong as she could get, so that's why I kept her. Because they were like only able to go 1 star or 2 star. I would have had to go back into that Adon orb shop and get the other copies, and I'd save the orbs for characters like this, where if you check the details, her main effect isn't too great, but her summon attack is very good. Because first off, she's one of the ones that hit the hardest when it comes to summon attacks. But at the same time, massively spikes my light elemental damage and my dark resistance. Very good for that light team because the light is strong against dark. And it's in your favor too, so keep that in mind. But a reason why I have someone like her on this team is because the sub-slots can also be based on either stats or the summon effect. And I just switched them around for no reason. I don't know why. I didn't mean to do that. But, I'll put that back. But her summon effect applies a barrier to enemies. To allies. What that does is it reduces some of the damage I take for 3 turns. Up to a certain amount of damage, which is only like 750, but yeah. That's the whole reason why I have her there. She has a good summon effect. She has very good stats. Someone in the case of her, she's situational, but you see how high her stats is. She has almost 1,000 HP and over 2,400 attack with her plus 99 and her fully leveled. That's a lot. But her case, I think she'll hit almost the same in HP, but hit like over 3,000 in attack. So yeah. Because she's only level 55 and already has more attack than this one who's level 100. More HP too. So that's the big thing about that. And then when you go a step further too with your Kamihime and eventually get the accessories, you can go equip them on these characters. So that's another thing too. Like for instance, I can check the accessories right here. Just from the stats alone, she gets another 265 base HP. I say base HP because the weapon effects and all that will stack on top of each other. And then she also gets another 1,710 attack. On top of that, she also gets these effects from these accessories. Mode gauge I don't really care too much about, but drop rates affect the entire party, so that's helping with grinding. She also gets 4% more match HP on top of what's already there. And another 4% defense. So, that said, that helps out a lot. You can also check what abilities they have too. This is the one that you only get when you level them up higher enough. It says usable level when it actually increases in power, or when you learn it in this case. And the assist abilities tend to only work on them, but there's some cases where it works on the entire party. But that said, the increases of HP from all this, on top of all this, is added to what she gets. And that's how you get this HP, and it's the same case with attack power. The skill effects also push it further, where I'm getting all these attack power increases and HP increases. And that pushes it even more damage. So even though that's saying like 40,000, it's really acting like she has 80,000. And I don't remember full damage formula, but your assault and your elemental attack are multiplied towards each other. So like you have, say, 120 assault and you have 120 in elemental attack, that ends up being 2.2 times 2.2, which is really like 4.4 something. So it's higher than, it's multiplicative, not additive. So it's not 2.2 plus 2.2, it's 2.2 times 2.2. You see where that's going. How she has all sixes is beyond me too. I just now noticed that. But that's the biggest thing about all that. Now, okay, say you're all ready to go, you got yourself all built up and everything and whatnot, and you're ready to go handle some content. Well, you could go and actually go into the fights and whatnot. And then there's still other stuff you have to pay attention to. Like, for instance, the events can give you missions. This includes guild order, but they're not listed here. But the events can give you missions to go clear. And then there's normal missions you can clear daily. Do these daily missions in order to try and get some extra stuff. Like, see, I got that right there. This is also a nice little way to grind magic jewels. Weekly's a nice little way to grind these, which is the Dragonic Eye Shards. You'll need those to awaken Kamihime. Also get some other stuff, but not worth it. But the events also have their own little mission lists and whatnot, as you can see. I haven't even done this because I know my thunder. Actually, it says win Kamihime, so it's different. I could probably do that. I'll have to check and see. I didn't pay attention, but this says win, not thunder. But, that's the whole thing with this. It's like, there's different stuff, it'll give you extra stuff. And this is a raid gacha tickets where it can give me extra items too. Essentially, if you grind the raid events enough, you can get extra SSR weapons, you can get extra magic jewels, you can get extra SSR Eidolons, you can get extra weapons that will just help with skill levels or even +1 stuff in order to build stats. You can get extra energy seeds, extra gems. Those are probably the best events to just grind out, and this is why. You'll get these tickets to get free draws for all that stuff. It is 100% free. So you got to keep that in mind. But anyways, that's all I got for this video. It's been pretty much an hour. Thank you if you've actually seen this whole entire thing too, because it's been a while. That's why I told you at the beginning of the video, sit around, it's going to be a minute. I've been talking so long, my throat's getting extremely dry. But anyways, that's all I have for this. I definitely do a lot of Kamihime project content, so of course expect more of it. And the other thing too is that you'll get a lot of your gifts right here. Episodes will unlock as you level characters and all that too. But when you want to try and actually get stronger, there's so many different ways to go about it. But I pretty much did the generalized way to get the most power out of your stuff. You want to build up your assault, you want to build up your elemental attack. That's where the Eidolons come in for the elemental attack, especially the 100% ones. You want to build all that stuff up, you want to try and get higher base stats, do whatever you can to try and push yourself to the limit. Simple as that. Because we're going to get even harder content than what we have right now. Like, if you're a newer player and you hopped into the Ragnarok fights and actually said, okay, yeah, I'm going to get completely murdered, hey, guess what? There's a harder one that's going to come down the line. Like, the amount of stuff I've seen from the Japanese version of this, which is like over a year ahead of us, it's insane. It's insane. We're going to get stronger guild order fights. We're going to get stronger raid bosses that are like have hundreds of millions of HP. The most HP I've probably seen on an enemy so far is 30 million from the Darkness Catastrophe fight. And that's going to end up being her ultimate level. It's going to get renamed to Ultimate. They're going to put a real Ragnarok fight. Give us some more powerful stuff we can get from that. But it's going to be way harder. We're going to get something called Tower of Malice, where, hey, guess what? I have 140-something Kamihime. I might need them because you can only use them once per fight until a certain amount of time passes. So, yeah, you get the whole concept with that. It's like, we'll keep getting harder and harder content. You just got to keep trying to push yourself more and more. Because, last thing I got to say, the true potential to how strong you can get is only limited by what you get. Because honestly, if you want the truly strongest amount of power, you will get nothing but attack and HP accessories, SSR ones at that. Get them to max level. You'll get special unique weapons for the souls. Get them to max level. You'll get limited weapons that can go up to skill level 30. Get them to max level. You'll get pretty much 100% of Dolan fully maxed out. And then, since they have the best stats, nothing but Khazar Dragoons filling the other slots all at level 100. Max them all out. Get plus 99 on all this stuff. It's overwhelming how strong you can get. If you want to be honest, your attack power rating can probably hit a good 70,000 at that point. And it could probably still grow even further depending on what they throw in the game. It's only really limited by how much you grind. That's why I said this game is very grind heavy. I've been playing it for well over a year. I've been playing it since it came out on Nutaku, which is the English version. So, that said, I have quite a bit of experience with this, and that's how I've managed to get so strong right where I'm at. But I still could have gotten stronger if I grinded more and did more stuff. Simple as that. But anyways, that's all I got for this video, guys. Thank you again for staying here for a long time. And I also had one more thing to say, too, which is about star coins. That's paid stuff. If you want to go for it, then go for it. But you don't really have to in this game. You can be 100% free and still do pretty well. I've seen it. I've seen somebody 100% free and clear the guild order with nothing but our Kamihime, which is the weakest rarity in the game. So yeah. Again, you're only limited to what you can do. You're only limited to what you can do. Or what you choose to do in most cases. But, again, that's all I got for this video, guys. Expect more of this soon, because I'm going to try that Ragnarok fight now that I notice it's wind and not thunder. But, anyways, that's all I have for this video, guys. Take care.